Listen, not to my voice. Listen to the sound of wood, old wood. A ship deck breathing under pressure, creaking like it's alive. The ocean is black tonight, endless, cold. Waves rise like mountains, then disappear into darkness. And somewhere on that ship, a cat is walking, silent paws on wet planks, eyes reflecting lantern light. A body built for balance, moving like it belongs to the storm. Humans crossed oceans in wooden boxes, but they didn't cross alone. They brought something with them. Not a soldier, not a priest, not a king, a predator. A small hunter that could survive anywhere and witness everything. Because ship cats didn't just travel with humans. Ship cats watched humanity at its worst. And if you stay until the end, you'll understand why cats didn't conquer the world by accident. They were carried, and then they stayed. When people imagine old voyages, they imagine heroes, explorers staring at the horizon, flags snapping in the wind, treasure, discovery. But the truth is darker. Most ships were not romantic. They were floating prisons, wooden coffins, a world of hunger, sickness, and fear. And inside every ship, there was a second world, a world below the deck, dark, wet, filled with barrels, food storage, grain, meat. And wherever food is stored, something follows. Rats. They multiply in darkness. They chew through rope. They contaminate water. They spread disease. A rat infestation could destroy a voyage. It could starve a crew. It could sink an empire. So sailors brought the only creature that could control it. A hunter designed for tight spaces. A hunter that could move through shadows and kill without sound. A cat. And that is where this story begins. Not with humans, but with the animal that made survival possible on the open sea. A ship is a fragile world. One storm can break it. One disease can wipe out the crew. One mistake can turn it into a grave. And rats were not a small problem. Rats ate stored grain. They destroyed supplies. They carried fleas. They spread sickness. Some rats even attacked sleeping sailors. Imagine waking up in darkness, feeling something moving near your face. Not a nightmare, a rat. And once rats took over, they did not leave. So captains didn't debate the decision. They didn't ask if cats were cute. They didn't care if cats were affectionate. They brought cats because they needed killers. Ship cats were not pets. They were survival equipment. And cats understood the mission instantly. A ship is full of hiding places. Rats run along beams, through barrels, behind walls. For a cat, it is paradise, a maze of prey. So cats hunted, night after night, keeping the ship alive in silence. But the sea is not kind. Salt air, constant motion, cold nights, violent storms. A ship is not stable ground. It moves like a living creature. And for a cat, that is a test. The cats that misjudged a jump disappeared. The cats that panicked fell. The cats that learned balance survived. So something happened. Not officially, not on paper, but in nature. Ship life selected a certain kind of cat. A cat that could adapt. A cat that could calculate distance on a moving world. A cat that could remain calm while the ocean screamed. These cats became legends, not because humans wrote about them, but because sailors remembered them. A ship cat was a good omen. A ship cat meant protection, because if the cat was calm, the ship felt safer. And sailors are superstitious for a reason. The sea teaches you that you are small, and when you are small, you believe in signs. Think about the hierarchy on a ship. Captain, officers, sailors. Everyone had a role. Everyone answered to someone. But the cat answered to no one. The cat moved freely, through cabins, through cargo holds, across ropes. It appeared on deck during storms, as if it didn't fear death. And sometimes, a cat would sit at the bow, staring into black water, like it could see something ahead. And sailors watched, because they believed the cat knew. Cats didn't just hunt rats. They changed the mood of the ship. A small, warm body in a cold world. A living creature that made the ship feel less haunted, less lonely, less doomed. But here is the darker truth. Ship cats didn't only travel on heroic voyages. They traveled on every voyage, the beautiful ones and the horrific ones. There were ships that carried gold, ships that carried spices, ships that carried maps, and ships that carried people as cargo, slave ships, human bodies chained below deck, darkness, screaming, disease, and in those holds, rats still ran, fleas still spread, food still needed protection. So cats were there too, silent, moving between barrels, walking past chains, not understanding cruelty, only understanding hunger. Ship cats became witnesses, not to glory, but to humanity, to the truth of what humans do when no one is watching. And that is what makes this story feel haunted, because cats saw everything, and they stayed close anyway. Every time a ship docked, something happened. A door opened, a gangplank lowered, cargo moved, and sometimes a cat stepped off into a new continent, a new island, a new world. Cats didn't conquer the world by marching. They conquered the world by slipping through cracks, by being carried, by being useful. And once they arrived, they did what they always do. They hunted, they survived, they reproduced, and soon, ports had cats, then towns, then cities, and the cat became global. But there is a shadow side to this. Some places were never meant to have cats. Islands with birds that had no predators, animals that never learned fear. Cats arrived, and the balance broke. This is the uncomfortable truth. Cats are perfect hunters, and when humans move perfect hunters around the world changes, not always gently. Over time, ship cats became symbols. Good luck, protection, a charm against storms. Sailors believed if a cat washed itself, a storm was coming. They believed if a cat stared at the sea, land was near. They believed a cat could sense death. And maybe, in a way, it could. Cats sense vibration, pressure changes, sound frequencies we barely notice. A cat can feel the ship shifting before a human does. So sailors watched the cat, because sailors didn't trust the ocean. They trusted sign, and the cat became one of them, a living compass, a silent guardian. At some point, cats stopped being temporary travelers. They became residents. Ports adopted them, dock workers fed them, merchants tolerated them, because rats were everywhere, grain was everywhere, and cats were the answer. This is how cats entered modern life, not through love, through usefulness. The same way it began 10,000 years ago. Cats did not become ours. We became acceptable. Historians studying maritime trade have documented the role of cats aboard ships for centuries. Ship logs mention cats as mousers. Ports became major hubs for cat populations, and genetic studies show that cat lineages spread along trade routes, meaning cats didn't just travel randomly, they followed human movement patterns, like shadows, like silent passengers, like something ancient, using civilization as a vehicle. And when researchers look at the modern cat, they still see the same blueprint, a predator that never lost its purpose, even when it gained a home. So now you know the truth. Cats didn't conquer the world because they were cute. They conquered the world because they were necessary. They walked into our ships, our granaries, our cities, and they stayed. But here is the question that should keep you awake. After everything cats witnessed, after every storm, every warship, every dark cargo hold, why did they still choose humans? Why did they remain near us? Because the next story is not about the past. It is about now, about your apartment, your bedroom, your quiet hallway at night, and the ancient predator sleeping on your couch, still listening to the dark, because even today, the bargain still holds.